Welcome back to Celebrity Radio. It's Alex Belfield talking to some of the world's biggest stars and some of my favourite people. And one of my favourite shows in the world ever is Memphis the Musical. I saw it originally on Broadway and here it is in the West End. And its new big star is Matt Cardle. How are you doing?
I'm good, you?
I'm delicious, thank you. And I saw you in this show just a couple of weeks ago and you nailed it. You were hugely impressive. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. I really didn't know what to expect from myself from this. That's a strange thing. I've never said that before. I've never acted before. It's my first time in the West End. It's a whole new thing, and I think that was partly how I got the lack of care. I just let myself go, and I think that's the reason why I did, because it was all so new, so different. First time I thought, you know what, this is a whole new thing, so it's a whole new me, and that's how I went at it.
And again, in this show, you've got to have a vulnerability, not a coolness, which isn't easy for you because, let's face it, you're a cool rock star. And then in this, as Huey, you've got to be sort of this geeky, vulnerable, slightly awkward, maybe a little bit autistic sort of guy.
Yeah, that's very sweet of you to say that. There's a lot of Huey in myself, in the awkwardness. I did channel one or two things. There's a little bit of Forrest Gump knocking about in the performance. There's a little bit of Mr. Bean even at times, just in certain mannerisms and things like that. Just, I wanted to kind of draw on a couple of things that I knew of, that I'd seen, rather than trying to create this thing from scratch, And I enjoy doing it so much, honestly, every time I'm up there.
And it is an acting role. I mean, this isn't one of those sort of songbook musicals where you can get away with singing a bit of Queen and then 10 minutes later sing another song and come back on. You've really got to put your heart into this to get through it. It's sort of a soulful show as well as musically and physically.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's so demanding. Out of the 2 hours that this show runs for, I'm off stage for 11 minutes, and that is doing a quick change or running underneath to the booth to come back up from the radio booth. I mean, it also is, like you say, like when I got offered the part, I thought, if they know I don't act, then this is potentially a part where I, wander on, belt a couple of tunes out, bit of dialogue here and there, try and feign an American accent, and off I got. And I came and watched the show with Killian. I was like, that's just driving the show. That role is totally driving the show forward. And the energy that Huey has totally dictates the energy of the show. It's and again, you've got to be so up for it. Yeah.
You've got David's music and you've got this huge score which is big and it's rocky and gospely, which is one of my favourite things about the show. By the end, it's a party.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And much like yourself, I'm a huge fan of gospel. On a lot of my albums, I've used a lot of gospel vocals and things like that, and it's you can't not feel good when there's loads of people singing at once like that. You're like, oh, brilliant. It does make you feel good right from your core. And the show does, it's you've obviously seen the show. It's not your traditional happy ending, but it is a happy ending. Huey gets what he wants. He doesn't get the girl, but his dream comes true. Black and white are dancing together on stage and singing together, and everybody's listening to Felicia. She's a star, and everyone's accepting of that. And I think it's such a classy happy ending. It's not just guy gets girl, off they trot. It's like, what's so impressive about Memphis is the way it manages to carry that story, at the same time keeping you laughing, keeping you feeling good, entertained, and then every now and again you just get stabbed in the heart with the realism of that's what things were like. It was horrific back then. And yeah, every now and again you just get hit with that in the show, and the way it's just seamless, the way they tie the music, the comedy, the dialogue and the story with that message is something quite special.
Let's talk about you. Firstly, your voice is so remarkable and so rich and so powerful, and for me you're probably up there in the top 3 most credible voices ever to come from one of those type of shows. I guess from this, you can't be trained how to do this. This is who you are. This is the voice that you were always meant to have.
Well, thank you very, very much. That's really quite sweet. I didn't have a lot of training for how I sing. I got some guidance when I was younger because I was always trying to emulate something that I wanted to be. I wanted to be Kurt Cobain. Well, not actually him, but because he wasn't alive by the time I found out about him. I wanted to sing like that. I wanted to have that kind of a voice. I wanted to sound like Eddie Vedder, James Maynard. It's all this stuff that I didn't have that I wanted to have. And to be totally truthful with you, I didn't find my voice until I was about 23, 24. After I stopped being in metal bands, I stopped trying to be something I wasn't, and kind of accepted the fact that I sing like a girl. You know what I mean? I was like, okay, I've got a very clear, high, girly kind of like voice, and I was like, fine, whatever. And it wasn't until I was doing covers of other people's songs in pubs for money, when I ran out of money. I didn't even run out of money, I never had any money, but when I really had no money, and I was singing other people's songs, and all of a sudden I wasn't trying to sound like Duffy or Amy Winehouse or Lily Allen. Weirdly, I was singing a lot of girl songs, and I wasn't trying to sound like Eddie Vedder or Kurt Cobain. And that's how I found my voice. I was like, just by being a blank canvas, I was like, oh, that's how I sing, and that's how it feels comfortable, and that's that's where I took it from then on. But in the show in Memphis, I mean, bloody hell, we've had some training. You cannot sing like I sing 7 times a week. You have to use the optimum technique.
This is more of a rock concert in places, and that Memphis Lives in Me is just beautiful, but the way you knock it out of the park, I mean, that night, it just makes the hairs on the back of your neck stick up, and that's not easy to do in a theatre.
Again, it's the show and everything has been so well written, and I'm going to say hats off to the soundmen down there. They do, and I've heard it from so many people, and entering into the land of theatre, people have said to me, not often do you hear people commenting on the sound, but on this show they absolutely smash it, and that really, really helps, believe me. It's as long as you can deliver the song vocally, the bed has been laid for it to do that. Like the score, the song itself, the musicians, the playing, the way they build the track, the sound, and then if you can deliver it vocally, then that's what it should do.
You have attractive fans who find you attractive. I'm a deeply unattractive man, and of course I don't have...
Absolutely untrue.
No, it's really true. What's it like to be sexy? No, really, come on, pay attention.
Sorry, you're fucking hilarious. Sorry. Oh, that's hilarious. Well, your first statement is wholly untrue. The second statement, I can't comment on. Do you know what? Look, it's funny. I've never looked in the mirror and thought anything like that, and then when I see it on Twitter and things like that, it does make me laugh. And when I say to people as a knee-jerk reaction, when people say, "Oh, my mum, she loves you," or "She fancies you," I was like, "Does she need glasses?" I was like, "She got poor taste, I don't know. Is there something wrong with her?" In a nice way. So I don't know.
Have you got like the ugly guy mentality then? Do you not see what they're seeing, or do you appreciate with the tats and the arms and all that stuff, and when you have your hair done, and I mean, you obviously haven't bothered shaving today, but when you do, you can sort of scrub up well?
Do you know what? I don't I don't ever wet shave because I look about 6 years old. So I suppose it's a good thing if I need to shave some years off, I can do that. No, I don't know. I've never been a confident person, and one thing is, again, I say to people when they say, "Well, let's get a picture," and I'm like, "Okay, cool," and they're like, "Oh, I hate having my pictures taken." I'm like, "Yeah, me too." It's like, I'm in the wrong game for not liking, and if ever we do a photo shoot, my manager Nathan, he's so funny. He's like, "Oh, I love that," and I'm like, nah. I hate them all. He's like, "Do you like any of these?" I was like, "Well, obviously I hate them all, but I will put up with this one."
I always say that it's the least worst one.
Yeah, that's exactly.
And then, of course, the rock star lifestyle. I think Mel did a lot for you, really, when you did that duet together. And again, you've got an aloofness that I think really set you apart, especially during X Factor. When you were on there, it looked like you were thrilled to be there, but you weren't playing the bullshit game that everybody else was. Was that, again, deliberate, or is that just who you are?
I went on with no agenda. I went on with my cap pulled down so far over my eyes through boot camp, because at the start, I turned up at boot camp and I just saw 20 X Factor winners and me. You know, it was very kind of theatrical, people singing in the corridors, and I was just like, oh my God, really? Like, what the hell is going on? And, you know, it's people were playing the game, and I know one or two people were, and some people weren't, you know, and I was definitely one of the people that wasn't. I was just trying to be myself, because, and it was more for the people that knew me, really, than myself. It's like, it would mortify me to think that anyone who knew me saw me on there was like, why is he being like that? What is going, you know what I mean? Like, so my number one aim was to just not let anything affect me, and just be myself, really. And, you know, one thing I refused to do was the whole phone thing. And then everybody followed suit. It was like, I'm not doing that either. I was like, no, let's not do the call me.
Yeah, but I love that, because you're like, well, if you think I'm any good, call me. If not, don't bother. I like that, because that's very real, and I think people pick up on that.
Yeah, I think you know, that's another thing. And let's face it, X Factor is part singing competition, part popularity contest. Let's face it. If you're an absolute arsehole, people won't vote for you, even if you sing like Leona Lewis. It's like, you know. So yeah, I just was like, I'll be myself, I'll sing the best I can, and I'll try and not wear this stupid fucking hat.
No, good for you, and I think you should. And then we look where you are now. At the end of this, you leave Memphis, and this has been a triumph. Every review I've seen, including mine, has been 5 stars. You've had amazing reviews. You're a credible recording artist, and let's face it, that's not easy either. Most people come, as Sam Bailey will tell you, you can be got rid of as quick as you arrive.
The thing with the show is it's very... well, look, it comes around every year, which is a thing that you need to be conscious of. It can be quite throwaway in that sense. Another thing is, don't ever, you know, in anything in life, don't ever expect anything. And where you can, I'm not naming names because I don't know any people that have done this, but there is a sense that you can go on X Factor, walk into it, and it just all falls in your lap. You know, it's not true. In certain circumstances that's been true, but I think you need to work your arse off when you get out the show, more than you did when you were on the show. You know, more fool me to think that I would get my break and it'd become any easier. It became 10 times harder. And I always say to people, it's not even an analogy, it's very difficult wanting something your entire life. There's a pressure and a stress that comes with being on a roof, being a roofer like I was, and wanting people to hear the music I was writing, to hear the stuff I was singing, not for any kind of, you know, I didn't want fame, I just wanted, you know, it's partly laziness. It's like, I want to do what I want for a living, you know, I don't want to fucking fix these girders anymore, you know, like, I just wanted people to listen to my music and enjoy it. And there's one thing, wanting something and not having it, but then you flip that round, and having it and not wanting to let it go is a whole nother world. It's like someone's like, you want this, okay, there you go, try and hold on to it, and it's like, oh, that's a whole nother level of stress. You're like, oh my God. So that's how I felt when I was on X Factor, and I got my break. I was like, I will work myself into the ground, and I did. You know, I worked myself into the Priory, which is the ground. So,
well, I suppose it doesn't get much lower. I ask you the question then, how are you now? How are you feeling now? I mean, this is a great place for you to be professionally, personally. How are you?
I'm really, really good. And I would have said that 3 months before going in the Priory. I would have been lying. This time I'm not. You know, I'm 19 months clean now, and you know, I haven't looked back. I've got some great people around me. Yeah. Do you see yourself now from a distance? Do you see those sort of red flags where, okay, I need to avoid that and I need to avoid him and them? I mean, you made a mistake talking to me today, for example, wasting 20 minutes of your life, but you take my point. This has been one of the funniest interviews I've ever had, I'm not going to lie. No, I mean, I know where I went wrong, and I know never to go back there again. And you know what? It's one of those things, sometimes, and I say this a lot, like the old saying, we live and we learn. I live, I never learn, but I learned then. I learned from that. I will never go back there, you know, in a hurry anyway. I know what not to do with regards to all that shit.
And it would be terrible at this point to ruin it, because, I mean, you're professionally in a great place.
This is it. You know, had I come out the Priory and things had been crap and rah, I can't vouch for my sobriety now, and I mean that. It's like I needed a few saving graces. My manager is one of them, you know, really, and my family, and Mel, you know, and lots of things that were happening, and lots of people that kind of picked me up from that you know, my lowest ebb, and you know, the tour, my third album, and now Beverly, you know, she gave me a little boost up into this, and then, you know, the new album, and everybody that I'm writing the new album with, and the difference. Yeah, the difference I see in me, even in pictures and stuff now, like my manager Nathan was like, look at this, and there's a picture of like 6 months before I went into this, and now, and I'm like, Jesus, that's two different people. One's chubby, pasty, ill, and the other one's
describing me again, aren't you?
No, stop it.
And I wonder whether you realise how great your voice is. You can't really answer this question, but do you realise what a gift you have? Because most people on X Factor or Britain's Got Talent or The Voice are just fakers, and they can't stand in front of an audience and actually knock it out, let alone 7-8 times a week or do a 2-hour concert by themselves. Do you appreciate now the blessing that you've got and that you can't really screw with that?
I quit smoking because I spoke to Beverly, and you know what, once again, like that's all I had left when I sobered up, was smoking. I thought, great, you know, I enjoyed smoking, as a lot of people do, but then I thought, you know what, this thing is why I'm doing what I'm doing. It's why I'm here. It's why I'm happy. It's why a lot of things are going on, and why would I risk that by smoking? And Beverly said, one thing you need to do is quit smoking. She's like, you won't make it through the show if you don't. So I went back down to Harley Street and quit, and it's the best thing I've ever done. And you know, now I know that the only damage I'm doing to this, well, I'm not. Maybe walking around London behind a bus is the most damage I'm doing to this.
How thrilling, though, to be the most pure you've ever been as a human being. I mean, you're never going to be more present, are you?
Well, absolutely. And do you know what? Like, the inside of me feels that of a 10-year-old boy. And I mean that. Like, through not drinking, not smoking. I mean, everything just works, you know? And it's really quite refreshing. The whites of my eyes were white for the first time in years.
And then again, when you get mum and dad in, or uncles and aunties, brothers and sisters, family in, and they're seeing you do what you do, that must be the ultimate affirmation that you can go, look, I've got my own West End show.
You know what? It's really hard to kind of fight back tears at the end of a show when you know that there's people that you love in the crowd. Be that, you know, even, you know, be that Nathan, my manager, or my mum and dad, or, you know, Mel, or anyone that comes to see me, and it's just like, especially from where I was, you know, this being, apart from the Porcelain tour, this being, you know, the next steps from a shit place.
You don't need that. Next, we look past October. I know you're working on a new album. More musicals. I mean, I've always dreamed of being maybe a giraffe in The Lion King or something. What about you? I mean, can I tempt you? Maybe a hyena or something?
Do you know what? That would be the bollocks, actually. Just a little hyena in The Lion King. Because, yeah.
You make a marvellous Simba.
Do you know what? I mean, I don't think I've got the skin tone. Do you know what? I just, I really, really enjoy acting, and I've kind of in two minds to say whether I can say that legitimately or not, because I've only ever done Huey. Saying that, as you've seen, Huey goes on, you know, he goes through the full spectrum of emotions in the show. There's, you know, happiness, sadness, despair, you know, he's in tears at one point, he's laughing his head off at another point, you know, and there is that serious stuff, there is that jokey stuff, there's a bit of everything in this, and I enjoy everything, every scene. It's not like, oh, here comes the serious scene, or here comes the sad, oh god, you know, it's like I love every minute of it. So, and I do love acting, and I'd do it again. You know, now knowing that this is something that I have the potential to do, yeah, let's see where it goes.
Well, I mean, you can't say you're a good actor because that would come across as contrite or arrogant or any of those words. I can say you're a good actor because I'm a reviewer, and you are terrifically believable, and that's all you need to be on a stage, and you buy into you, and that's rare and astonishing. You could pull that out the bag from nowhere. Again, I know it sounds like I'm being over complimentary, but it is rare that someone could come off a reality show with 3 albums under their belt and stand on a stage and hold it together. It's remarkable.
Thank you so much. I mean, I got a lot of help from a lovely woman called Tara Wilkinson, who's the resident director. And I remember saying to her, I wasn't fishing for compliments, I remember saying to her at the start, I just said, look, I don't want to waste your time, I don't want to waste the producer's time. If you think that acting is something that I can do. And she's like, I think with a bit of push and pull here, she was like, I think it's going to be fine. And I was like, okay. And then when I did the audition, they filmed it, sent it to the American producers, and they said yes. That's when Beverly called me. She's like, look, you need to have the confidence in yourself now that this is something that you can do. And I was like, fucking hell, okay. And, you know, and I'm growing in confidence every night to the point I fell down the stairs yesterday. I was so fucking confident. And Miss Felicia, your favourite customer has into the bar. And I was like, well, you know, coming in so flamboyantly that I fell down the fucking stairs.
I've thought of a way of you earning even more money. We could sue the producers now for injury. Have we got bruises? Is there any problem?
There's bruises everywhere.
Let's take pictures, quick.
Where there's blame, there's a claim.
Joe Pasquale's got a number for that. Hey, listen, Matt Cardle, great to talk to you. You are such a phenomenal talent, and to see him in the show really is a thrill. Get there before the end of October. It's closing regardless. There's no extension to this. The new album's on the way. When will that be out?
That'll be October time.
Great. Let's talk again for that. And congratulations again. It's very rare you see someone who actually, A, captivates you in a theatre, but B, to come from where you did just a couple of years ago to this is truly remarkable, and you nailed it. Well done, mate.
Thank you.